It's a pleasure to have our friend Lee Zeldin with us, the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. Lee Zeldin, you're doing some great things over there. Do I understand you pulled a regulation of sorts that sort of was a phony rule, phony in the sense that it shouldn't have been a rule, that gave all this power to the government to undermine business and so forth and so on behalf of climate change? What did you do exactly?
Well, how about this? 2 days ago, what we proposed is to reconsider the 2009 Obama EPA Endangerment Finding and all of the greenhouse gas regulations on vehicles that followed, and the incentives for features that Americans hate in cars, like the start-stop feature. It amounts to $1 trillion worth of deregulation, and it also amounts to what would be the largest deregulatory action in the history of the United States. Mark, you are someone who follows Supreme Court cases. You understand what government overreach looks like and what's wrong with it. In this case, you have the Supreme Court weighing in on Loper Bright, overturning the Chevron doctrine, West Virginia versus EPA, Michigan versus EPA, and essentially saying that agencies should not be creatively filling in gaps in law however they please, and then coming up with major policy decisions like electric vehicle mandates and more on their own. This stuff should be going through Congress. Agencies need to be reined in. Well, that's what the Supreme Court is saying, and we are respecting the rule of law and Supreme Court decisions. So we're not going to play along with the Obama administration's way of interpreting the law. They went very creative with Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, and they want to tell people what kind of car to drive, maybe what kind of lawnmower they should be buying. And they started regulating not just mobile sources, but stationary sources, airplanes. They want to regulate entire segments of our economy out of existence, and we posed that we should get rid of all of that.
Wow, so you're going to be getting rid of not one regulation, but multiple regulations, right?
Yeah, all of the greenhouse gas regulations that have come out from the Obama and Biden administrations on vehicles. And what they did, I saw in the New York Times when I made this announcement, and CNN when I made this announcement, they put these pictures of power plants with smoke coming out. That's not, on multiple levels, that's not even what this proposal is about. It's about vehicles, light, medium, heavy duty. And the fact is you can't see carbon dioxide and methane. They're just trying to create an image to scare people and using rhetoric to scare people. What they did was they said that carbon dioxide, this is back in 2009, carbon dioxide, when mixed with a bunch of other well-mixed gases, the greenhouse gases, some not even emitted from vehicles, they say that contributes, they didn't say causes, it contributes how much, they don't say, but it's north of zero, contributes to global climate change. And then they say global climate change endangers human health and welfare. They didn't look at local and regional impacts. They went global. Nowhere in Section 202 of the Clean Air Act are all of these mental leaps authorized. But for the last decade and a half, it's been in place, and they've used it to be able to get trillions of dollars of regulations into place, and we're taking a major step here in reversing all of it.
When you step back from this, Lee Zeldin, you look at this, isn't this frightening? In other words, you're not going to be there the rest of your life. You'll leave when the administration ends, most likely. And then in comes a leftist and undoes everything that you do. That's pretty frightening, isn't it?
Well, here's the big update. I think that with what the Supreme Court has ruled in these recent cases, making it very clear that agencies just don't have the authority to be getting creative and filling in vague, missing language from statute to interpret it however you want for your policy aims, I think that was really a game changer. The Supreme Court flew under the radar, overturning the Chevron doctrine and the major policy doctrine, and these decisions were significant. And there's just so much else going on in the world. A lot of people weren't talking about it. But I think it changes the authority of agencies for a very long time to come, even after we're not here. And I would say one thing, by the way, about the science, because we're going out to public comment now on this 300-plus page proposal for the next 40. It'll be a 45-day comment period. On the science front, back in 2009, they were relying on a bunch of guesses and assumptions, many of which turned out not to be accurate. We're able to have a conversation on the science in 2025 based off of fact. We don't have to rely on what in many cases were bad assumptions of 16 years ago. So, that's something else, too, that's part of this conversation.
Now, a lot of, people who run agencies and departments, they have problems with the bureaucracy, giving them accurate information. In some cases, it's worse, even attempting to sabotage you. We had some of that in the Reagan administration, certainly early on. Do you find a lot of that at the EPA?
I have found a lot of agency employees who are working with us. They understand that sometimes you win an election, sometimes you don't. A lot of people in the agency obviously didn't vote for President Trump, but they get it. They've been around for 20, 30, 40 years, and then there's exceptions. And in our agency, when we came in, we had 16,155 employees. We're now going down to 12,500 employees. We've been doing reorganization, real estate consolidation. We saved about $750 million off the staff reduction, money off the real estate consolidation, $22 billion off canceled grants, $1 million off canceled media contracts. The list goes on of all of the ways we found opportunities to be able to save money. On the staffing side, we actually have a whole lot of career employees who helped to draft a lot of these proposals to deregulate. I mean, we're talking here about an announcement we made 2 days ago, and that doesn't even get into the many dozens of other deregulatory proposals that we've put out. So we will do more deregulation this year, 2025, at one agency than entire presidencies across all agencies, across entire terms. And we're proud to be leading the way. Protect the environment and grow the economy. We could do both.
Well, you're doing a great job. Absolutely great job, Lee Zeldin. Thank you, my friend, and be well.
Thanks, Mark.